Kim with Mom's Creative Moments, and I'm bringing you another in our series of Hawaiian or tropical layouts from my trip. So let's go ahead and get into it. This is going to be a fun one, hopefully a fairly quick and easy one. Okay? Okay, so here is my desktop, and I wanted to show this to you. I know it looks familiar, but I just wanted to show you that I have gone ahead and gotten the printing done for the title page that I completed a while back. You guys watched me complete it. I did print this on my Cricut, using my Cricut and a pen, and it worked out really nicely. So I'm very, very happy with the way it turned out. And yeah, I think it turned out really cool. So I used my Cricut, and let me see, my Cricut is called a Cricut Explore Air, and I used a pen with the font, and it actually wrote an outline of my letters, so then I went back and I filled them in with the pen, and I think it looks really nice. We are going to work on a design today from a CM advisor, Arena Kusaka, and this was part of the Worldwide Virtual Crop, one of the challenges that was used during that event. It just looked like a fun layout for my pictures of our going to the airport and getting ready to go. And so I have more than 4 photos that are going to go on this layout, just so you know. I know the picture only indicates about 4 pictures on the layout, but I actually have more than 4 pictures. So we're going to see how this is going to come together. And I actually am recording this after filming, so I apologize if my voice is a little bit, not in sync with what I'm showing you in the video. Again, this is a video that had some issues with sound, so I'm just going to go ahead and do the voiceover and explain what we're doing. So what you're looking at there is the sketch that shows the design that we're going to do today. It's actually pretty simple, even though it looks fairly involved. It's got just that stripe that goes across and a main piece that goes in the middle, and then this circle that is cut in half and used on either side, rather like a donut. Excuse me. And we're going to use some really pretty papers today that are going to just make this page pop and be really, really cool. So in just a second here, she's going to catch up to where I'm at. And we will move on to the next part of this video. I have no idea what I was saying there, but clearly it wasn't as quickly as I said whatever I said now. All right, so these are papers from our Serene Waters collection. I just love these, and we're going to use these a lot as I do these Hawaii pictures because I just love them. You're going to need to do this layout, you're going to need 2 designer sheets, or 1 designer sheet and 1 tone on tone. As you can see, I have a tone on tone sheet there that I just flipped over, and then that beautiful one of the sunset or sunrise that is a designer sheet. And I also have a piece of vellum. This piece of vellum is the one that kind of looks like clouds, and it is a part of, there are 5 pieces of vellum that come in the Serene Waters collection, and this is one of them. So we're going to use that, and we're going to build these 2 pages directly on my my natural pages, so that's why I have those out there as my base sheets. There are no base sheets in the way I'm going to build these pages. So just so you know, that's why there's only those 3. All right, so I'm going to grab my trimmer, and the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and trim this main sheet. And I'm going to trim this so that I have 1 inch above it and 1 inch below it. And so that means we need 10 inches, 10 inches off the top or 10 inches from the center. So we need an inch, I think I took 1.25 inches off the top and 1.25 inches off the bottom. So that meant we took a total of 2.5 inches from here. And then that's going to allow us a little bit of a buffer from the top, or on the top and the bottom, and give us just a little bit more dynamics to our page. And this is me just checking to see if that measurement is going to work without destroying too much of the design and the beautiful colors that are on this page. Because I didn't want to lose too much of that. So there we go. We've got 1.25 inches, 2.25 inch strips, and then we've got our main sheet. Now we're going to cut a portion of this off, and it's the right hand portion. So you're going to see me flip this upside down to cut that the right side of the page, portion of the right side of the page off. I believe I cut 3.5 inches off. To see as I flip it over, and I believe that's how much I cut, because a portion of it goes on the left hand page and the smaller portion goes on the right hand page. Actually may have been 4 inches. Nope, 3 3/4. So right in the middle, 3 3/4 of an inch is what I went ahead and cut. So that 3 3/4 of an inch worth of paper will go on the right hand side, and then the bulk of it will go on the left. Okay, then I took my tone-on-tone paper, and because this paper swirls mainly horizontally, I wanted to keep that movement in my paper. So I'm cutting it along with the direction of the wave, if you will, and I cut those, I believe, at 1.5 inches, and then these pieces of vellum are cut at 1 inch, so that we have a 1/4 inch on either side. So 1.5 on the tone-on-tone strips and 1 inch on the vellum strips, 1 inch by 12. Those are going to be stacked on top of each other eventually. Okay. Now we need our custom cutting system. You're going to need the large circle from the custom cutting system. I'm going to move a lot of this out of the way so that I have some room to cut. And we're going to use the vellum paper and the tone-on-tone paper. And we're going to use the red blade with this. You're going to use the red and the blue blade, pardon me. So I think the reason I have both of them in my hands right now is because I was comparing them to make sure that there was a significant enough difference, and not too much of a difference, but enough that it would actually work as a kind of a frame to go around the circle. And I decided I did like that, so we stick with the red blade and the blue blade, and we're going to make the larger circle out of the tone-on-tone paper. That's going to be using the blue blade, and then we're going to use the red blade on the vellum. So we're going to cut around the outside first. So you just put the little posts in the outer channel and hold the template down on the paper and work your way around. Right now I'm just trying to make sure that I'm being a good steward of my paper, and trying to get my cut right on the edge of the paper rather than out of the middle. There we go. So just slide it all the way around the outside edge. There we go. And I should not have removed my template from there just yet, because we do need to cut the center out as well, which I'm going to go back and do in just a minute when I realize my mistake. But first we're going to go ahead and cut the red one, the one with the red blade, out of the vellum. So going around the outside with the red blade. Okay, and be careful, don't move your template. Just go ahead, and as soon as you're done with going around the outside, we're going to go around the inside. So carefully remove that paper. See, she doesn't listen to me. But here's where she realizes, yes, we still need to cut the center out of our circle. I was having an off day, guys. Okay, so on the inside track with the red blade, we're going to cut the vellum, cut the center out of our vellum. Here we go. And then we're going to jump back over to our tone-on-tone circle and center that best we can. And then grab our blue blade and go ahead and cut the center. She's having a hard time getting that centered. Can you tell? There we go. All right. So centered, or inside track all the way around. There we go. And now we have a frame for our circle, for our vellum. Okay, now I'm going to grab my vellum adhesive. If you have vellum adhesive from Creative Memories, you're going to want to use that. If you don't have vellum adhesive, you might want to invest in some vellum adhesive you can keep on hand for when you do use vellum. It comes in handy, and it is better than using regular adhesive, I feel like. It doesn't disappear completely when you put it on, but you can rub it in sufficiently to where it is less noticeable than typical adhesive would be, and so that's why it is recommended that you do use the vellum adhesive. I'll show you how I'm going to rub that in with more than just my fingernail. I have a bone folder that I'm going to use that will help get all of those little bits of adhesive rubbed in as much as possible so that you don't notice them as much. There's still going to be a little bit of a shadow. Really hard to get away from that, unfortunately. You can do one of two things. You can do what I do and just choose to ignore it. You can only put vellum in just a couple of places and then strategically cover it up with an embellishment, which, you know, can definitely be done. You just have to think a little bit ahead and plan where you want to put your adhesive so that you can make sure that you're covering it up. because you probably don't need as much adhesive on there as I put. Maybe just, 2 or 3 spots. We are going to cut that in half though, so you're going to want to make sure that it is adhered well. Now we're going to do the same thing that we did on our circle for our strips, but I'm only going to put adhesive on the ends, and I'm just going to let the center of these kind of float so that I don't have spots all the way across in the vellum. So just centering it, the vellum strip across the tone on tone, and then rubbing it in as well as possible. I'm going to do that with both strips. So it will take a minute here, but we should be good to go to start putting all this together as soon as we get these adhered. I think this layout has a lot of dynamics to it, but actually is pretty simple to put together, so it shouldn't be too awfully difficult, even if you're a beginning scrapbooker, to put this together. If you have the right tools, the tools I have found make all the difference in the world for making things easier. I'm going to grab my 12-inch trimmer so I can cut this circle in half. And if you have our Creative Memories 12-inch trimmer, then you already know that if you just go ahead and rest the circle in the well between the 2 shoulders at the bottom or at the top, it will center your circle so you get your circle cut evenly in half every time, which is a fantastic little trick, and it certainly takes the guesswork out of trying to center a circle, which I think otherwise could be really crazy. All right, so there we have our 2 centered circles, or 2 circle halves, sorry. And now we should be ready to go ahead and put this together. Okay, so the smaller piece of our beautiful sunset paper goes again on the right hand side of our 2-page layout. We're just going to center it best we can between the top and the bottom and put it right along the jeeping on the center. Just like that. So about 1.25 inches, remember, from the top, and 1.25 inches on the bottom. And then what we're going to do is put our 2 pages together so that we can make this other side match and be in exactly the same spot so that our beautiful sunset photo or portrait is in the same spot. If you really wanted to be exact, you could get your 0 centering ruler out and lay it on top of your page, and then you could measure, make sure you have 1.25 inches from the top and 1.25 inches from the bottom. But I'm just happy if they're the same on both sides. So It works for me. Now I'm going to take half of my circle, put some permanent adhesive on it, and going to go ahead and get this adhered to the upper left-hand side of my page. It's not completely on the top half of the page. It's probably about an inch down from the top of our sunset. That's where that's going to end up being. Maybe a little more than an inch. Not too much though. The base of our circle is going to touch our 12-inch by 1.5-inch bar that's going to go across the bottom. Next. If you are working on a mat like I am, then it's fairly easy for you to be able to line this up because you can see the grid line coming out on the right and the left side, and you can make sure your line is straight. If you don't have a mat that you're working on, again, if you have a zero centering ruler, they are very, very helpful to getting something like this straight. So I would definitely get one of those. They're not too expensive, and they can help you in immeasurable ways. So really a good idea to have one of those. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put this second strip on the right-hand side of the layout. But then I'm going to have to lift it up for a moment to go ahead and put the second half of that circle down. So just be prepared for that if you're working along with me. Don't push down your strip on the right hand side completely because you're going to be lifting it back up. You see my pretty Valentine's nails? I had these done right before I videotaped this layout, doing this layout. I was excited for Valentine's. Still am excited for Valentine's. Although it's not really a holiday that we celebrate. My sweetheart has always felt it was a holiday for all of the jewelry companies and things like that. He never felt like that was really a good thing to celebrate, but that's okay. All right, so it may feel like I'm setting this in here blindly, and I am kind of setting it in there blindly. You just want to make sure that it is straight because we're going to put some photographs and a journal box up to those edges of the circle. It won't feel like it's floating when we're done. So just get it as straight as you can and all will be well. Trust me. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and grab my photos. These photos I have already cropped to different measurements. They're not anything specific, so this is going to be a little bit of a puzzle as I put it together, but just bear with me a little bit. These are pictures of us as we were waiting for our flight and as we were on the airplane getting ready to go. And so it'll take me a minute here to just figure out where the best place is to put them, because I don't want to cover up our sunset, but I also, want to have a reasonable arrangement of things. So it will just take a second here to get that figured out. And I'm going to go ahead and get, in just a second here, you'll see me go ahead and get a journal box to put in that spot right there where I'm tapping. And I'm just going to use a mat from the mat pack that goes along with the Serene Waters collection. And if you have those mats, you'll know that they come in very handy. Many of them have cute sayings on them. Some of them are really beautiful, like that one that's on top right there. They are designed to be used in many, many different ways. If you don't use the mat packs, then you really are missing an element to your layouts. They are fun and can add a lot to your layouts. So something to consider. I don't use them as much as I probably should, but they do make some great journal boxes, and so this last one that I just found here is the one I'm going to end up trimming down to be the journal box on this page. You always have to have a journal box. Don't not put a journal box or use some space on your page for journaling. That is really important. The story that goes along with the pictures is super important, and if you're not sure what to write, I was told one time that the best thing to write in a journal box is whatever you would tell someone that you were sharing the pictures with. So if you can imagine yourself sitting down with someone and sharing this page with them, what would you tell them about these photos? That's what you need to write in your journal box. When you're not there, the journal box is going to speak for you. So that's important. So I'm just adding some adhesive to that journal box, and I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these photos adhered, just allowing about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom of my page. And I'll go ahead and fast forward until I get those adhered. Alright, so now we're going to grab just a few embellishments to add to this page. And I have this sun, but because we have the sunset or sunrise that's already on this paper, I think I'm not going to add the sun because we don't have two suns. So I'm just going to go ahead and use some of these other embellishments that I found. These came from the Serene Waters collection. And I have this cool looking tag that kind of looks like it's in the ocean. I think we'll tuck that right here underneath my sweetheart. Nimrod won't mind. And lest you think I'm calling him a derogatory name, that is his given name. So please don't send me horrible messages that I'm being mean and nasty to my sweetheart. That is his name, and he prefers people call him that. So just going to add those couple of other little doodads right there. A starfish and some sea life. And this plant I think we'll put right here next to the journal box. Just kind of adds a little bit something something. And I've got these really cool birds, which I thought would be appropriate since we're flying on this page. But we might move that relax. There we go. Set that up there on top with the All right, so we're going to use some repositionable adhesive to go ahead and get these put down. If you haven't used our repositionable adhesive, it is awesome. You can put it on anything that doesn't have, that's not like solid, and then it just wipes right off of anything that it touches that you don't want it to. Which is really lovely. And I'm going to grab, I think, some foam squares to put these a little bit higher up off the page. Let's see. I'm going to add the starfish and the little plant. And there is room on that little tag where if I wanted to add an exclamation or some kind of words, I could do that, which is kind of nice. It acts as a secondary journal box. Or I can just leave it blank, and that's okay too. The relax word I thought was appropriate. It's kind of a mantra, when I don't know about you, but I'm not very relaxed when I'm in the throes of traveling. When I get where I'm going, I can usually relax and enjoy myself, but the actual process of traveling kind of makes me crazy. So I try really hard to just remind myself to just relax and let it kind of be. Because once you're on vacation, you don't have anywhere you gotta be, so you just relax. Sometimes it's easier said than done. All right, I think we are about done with this layout. I think I need to prop that up so you don't have as much glare. You can see the cute photos, my goofy faces. And I think that's about it. I hope that you've enjoyed putting this together with me today. I hope that you will use this layout, and I hope that it will inspire you to create something similar in your albums. And until next time, I do hope that you have many more creative moments. Thanks so much for joining me. You have a great day.